Hi Year 6 and welcome to Wednesday's geography lesson. So this lesson follows on from Monday's lesson with Miss White, in which you looked at the structure of volcanoes and hopefully you made a fortune teller to show the structure. I've seen lots of pictures of them come through, so I know that lots of you did do that. So today we're going to further our understanding and end up writing a larger piece on volcanoes. So let's go back to Monday's lesson and recap. Here is your cross-section of a volcano. Can you pause the video and remember what each part is called? Okay, so let's see if you were right. So we've got the top here. This isn't really in the volcano, but it's formed because of the volcano, and that is your ash cloud. So ash and rock thrown up into the air, so it can make a massive cloud when there's a big eruption. Then at the top of the volcano, we've got the crater, and this is the opening. So the first time a volcano erupts, the crater is formed. It's like the hole at the top where the magma comes out. And that is at the top of this part here that runs through, and that is the vent. Okay, so that allows the magma, because the magma, remember, comes from, if you think about the layers of the earth, we had the mantle under the crust, and the magma is traveling, so it has to be a hole through the crust and then up to the top and out of the crater of the volcano. Here on the outside of the volcano, you have got your lava flow. So it is magma, it's called magma inside the volcano. Once it goes onto the Earth's surface, we call it lava. And remember, we looked at how when lava forms, lava cools, it forms rocks. And so actually when we looked at the fire mountains or the volcanoes, when we looked at mountain formation, extra land eventually builds up from where the lava has cooled and formed its own rock. And then lastly, the parasitic cone. So this is magma breaking through the surface of the volcano in a place other than coming out of the main crater. So it's breaking off from this vent and going into other parts of the volcano, the magma that's coming up through the crust. So well done if you remembered all of those, and if you didn't, there's another look. Next recap then, can you remember the 3 types of volcanoes that Miss White showed you on Monday? I've put yesterday there, but it wasn't yesterday, it was Monday. Can you remember the 3 types? Pause the video and cast your mind back. All right, let's see if you were right. We have got 3 types then. We have got composite volcanoes. Now, these volcanoes can also be called stratovolcanoes. And if you're doing some extra research later on and you see stratovolcanoes instead of composite, the two are the same thing. So these volcanoes they've got steep sides, they're made up of lots of layers of rocks, and their eruptions are usually quite explosive. So the magma is quite sticky, it clogs up in the passage, and so pressure has to be quite strong to push it out, and therefore it is quite an explosive eruption, quite strong and powerful. That's your composite. We have also got shield volcanoes. Now the shield ones they have a shield shape, that's why they're called it. But we might think of that more as a bowl. That might give us a better visual. So the lava in these is quite runny. So it goes quite a long distance down the side of the volcano when it comes out, and then it will cool further away. So instead of really steep slopes, you've got much more gentle slopes and this bowl shape. Now they don't often explode, so it's not an explosive eruption. The lava will come out, it will be quite runny, and it will just trickle down the sides. It won't be a big build-up of pressure and a big explosion in the way the composite volcanoes were. And then lastly, you looked at cinder cones, circular or oval cones. You've got small fragments of lava that have been blown up through the vent, and they form rock around the vent basically. So they're not very big, and they're usually not too dangerous. So it's the composite ones that are really explosive. Well done if you remembered those 3 types, and even more well done if you remembered what each one was. You're going to need to remember this to do the work today. So let's add a little bit more information to what you have already learnt. This is a page of famous volcanoes. So some of them you might have heard of, and some of them you might not have. Now, they're dotted on our world map at different places. So let's start here with Mount Vesuvius. Now, this is in Italy. But this erupted a long time ago. So 79 AD was the time. Okay, ancient Roman times. Now, you might have heard of Mount Vesuvius, and you might have heard of Pompeii. So Mount Vesuvius, when it erupted, killed lots of people, over 2,000, and it completely buried the city of Pompeii. So it was covered in a really thick layer of ash. Then rain came and it turned this ash into a sort of cement that preserved the city underneath. So years later, centuries later, archaeologists uncovered this fully preserved Roman city of Pompeii underneath this layer of ash from the eruption. So that was really cool in the sense that then they could study loads of elements of Roman life by finding this completely intact city. Another one that you might have heard of is Krakatoa. Okay, and this one's in Indonesia, and it is one of the most violent eruptions in history. This was 1883, and 36,000 people were killed there. You might have heard of Krakatoa because it is quite famous. Next, let's go up to this one here. This is Mount Pinatubo. It is in the Philippines. And this is the most recent one of the ones I've got here, 1991. And nobody had expected this volcano to erupt, okay? It was dormant. And if you remember the 3 kind of classifications of volcanoes that Miss White talked you through, active, it's erupted recently, it will erupt again. Dormant, it hasn't erupted in years and years, but it could erupt again. And extinct, just like extinct animals, it's kind of dead. It won't erupt again. So this volcano had been dormant for a long time, and nobody really expected it to erupt. It didn't have any signs, and then it suddenly erupted and it killed 772 people. So as you can see, volcanoes and volcanic eruptions cause complete devastation in terms of killing people and in terms of destroying the environment around it, because you've got obviously the lava, you've got the ash, there's a lot that can cause destruction. Let's go up to this one then in North America, the USA, Mount St. Helens. This was the most destructive eruption in US history. 57 people were killed, but it destroyed over 200 square kilometres of the natural environment. So the impacts of that eruption are going to be felt far away from where the actual volcano is. Then down in South America, in Colombia, Nevado del Ruiz, 1985. It was a small eruption, but actually it buried a whole town and claimed 20,000 lives, because as a result of the eruption, there was mud flows which covered the town. Okay, and so as you can see, that's how destruction can be caused. So the volcanoes they're really deadly. Let's have a look now at some more. And this is a specific area, okay? So this is a place on the world map which has become known as the Ring of Fire, because it is where most of the world's volcanoes are. Now here's a close-up of the Ring of Fire. It goes around the edge of the Americas and into Asia and Australia, with the Pacific Ocean between. Now I've shown this on I've shown this on a world map because it's a little bit confusing. We always see the map like this. Obviously, the Earth is round, and if we were on a globe, you'd see that these places joined, but we don't often see a map like this with America here and Australia here. So just so you can visualize, the Pacific Ocean is at either side. Obviously, the map wraps around to make the globe, and where I've marked red here, that's where the Ring of Fire is, and that's what's shown here. So obviously, remember, volcanoes usually form where tectonic plates meet. And the reason why there is so many volcanoes here and so much volcanic activity and eruptions here is because this is a place on the Pacific where many of the Earth's tectonic plates come together. So it's the joining of lots of tectonic plates, therefore obviously more likely for the meeting of tectonic plates to form volcanoes. So where more than 75% of volcanoes erupt is in this area. And also, we're not talking about it, but interestingly, 80% of earthquakes occur there as well. And we will go on to look at earthquakes, but obviously that's tectonic plate activity as well. So that is a famous, famously known place where most of the Earth's volcanic activity is happening. Okay, I'm going to introduce your independent task now, and to do that, I'm going to share a few pages of this book. So this, sort my camera out. This is a really lovely book that we picked up for school, and it is called Earth-Shattering Events. It covers volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, lots of the natural disasters that we've looked at. And I wanted to show you some of the pages because I really like the creative way it presents things. So, for example, we've got a page on... Oh, I've got to work out which way to move it for my camera. Sorry, right. Oop, there we go. So there's a page on earthquakes here, and they've really creatively split the middle of the page like an earthquake, like tectonic plates moving away from one another. We've got a page of earthquake facts, and we've got a little cross-section of the Earth's layers there. It talks about how long they last, and it's put a little clock, for example. So I just really like the way that this sets things out, and I think that it could help you to be creative in the way that you set things out as well. So we've got a tsunami page there. So it's got facts, it's dotted with little pictures and paragraphs, little professor there with some question marks. We've got what to do in a tsunami down here. And it's got like a little kind of to-do list of if you get caught in a tsunami. It shows you bits of maps and labelled volcanoes. Okay, if we look at a volcano page, this page is about effects of volcanoes, and it's kind of got a whole big diagram, and then it sticks the information in with little white boxes on top. So you could do that if you wanted to. Okay, showing you types of volcanoes. It's just got lovely illustrations. It also talks about avalanches. It talks about cyclones. There's a cyclone page, for example. Whoop. And so it's just got lots of lovely big pictures. Okay, these two little men are also from the book, and it's just got this says people who study volcanoes are called volcanologists, and so it's got a little expert there telling us that. And then the word volcano comes from the name of the ancient Roman god of fire, Vulcan, and it's got a little Vulcan image there telling us that fact. So just really creative little ways, and I thought you could be inspired by that. So you're going to produce your own information page. It might be a double page spread, but I want you to be creative as you can with the design of it. So it could be that you draw one big volcano and then you get some white paper and you stick your information on there. So try to really mix it up with your creativity. You can do some extra research, and there's some links that you can use that are on the website under this lesson. Here are some things that you might include. So basic structure, the different types, the active, dormant, extinct, the famous. You could find out how to survive an eruption. You could get extra fun facts. So off you go, be really creative, and I really look forward to seeing what you come up with. Thank you for joining.